Good evening. Today is Thursday, February 20th. We'll begin this evening with public comment 1 of 2. If you are present and would like to address the board, please move to the table in the center of the room, state your name and town of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes. And for those of you who are viewing online, you will raise your hand and we will get you into the meeting. So is there anyone first in the room who would like to make a public comment? And anyone online?
Nope.
Okay, so at this time, we will close the first public comment. There will be another opportunity for the public to address the board later in the evening. We'll move from that right into our fiscal year 24 financial audit presentation.
Yeah, so thank you. Christy, I want to introduce Matthew Murray from Vashon Cloquet, who has completed, his firm has completed all of the financial audits for the 3 school districts and the SAU. So he's already visited all of your school districts. This is the final audit to be presented for the SAU. So we'll have Matthew come up and give a brief presentation, answer any questions. And I think you all either have a copy of the audit, a hard copy, or it's also in Assembly and digital form. So thank you, Matthew.
Great. Like you said, I'm Matthew Murray from Vashon Cloquet. And sure, everyone of you has hopefully, or I've seen a lot of similar faces as to the board meeting for the schools. As I said, the most important thing to the board, to the public, is the opinion on the financial statements. We're happy to say that the SAU got an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which means that financial statements were presented in accordance with GAAP, no material misstatements, and all the required disclosures were made. This one's a little bit easier than the school districts. I'll briefly kind of go over statement of net position. If you look, we refer to it as Exhibit A. Like I said, in all the other ones, you'll see that the SAU has a deficit net position that's caused by 2 reporting standards, got to be 68, 75, where you're reporting the New Hampshire retirement system's unfunded liability, the SAU's proportionate share, which is calculated based off of what the SAU contributed to the retirement system in comparison to what every other contributing member contributed during the measurement period, which is 1 year beforehand. And actually the reports for fiscal year 24 just came out today. So if anybody wants to, you can visit the New Hampshire retirement system website, download those and see. I did not, so but you can see what the funding position of the retirement system is done. Next, I guess the most important thing is looking at the budget and actual performance, which is Schedule 1, the required supplementary information schedule, page 25 of the financial statement. And I can just look at this right beforehand. While we were doing the audit, we did, but the SAU actually underexpended the budget by $788, which I think that might be the closest that I've ever seen without having an overdraft of appropriations.
Wow.
But one of the things that's, I guess, important is that not generating a huge surplus. So under expending by a couple $100,000, or in this instance, even if you were at $100,000, when you look at that as a percentage of your budget, you don't want to be raising extra money from the taxpayers, because that's how it ultimately gets funded. Is the SAU bills up to the member districts, which then part of that is passed on to the taxpayer. So the fact that the SAU actually utilized the budget and got that close shows that they're budgeting within reason. And they're not they're over raising and generating a huge surplus, which would then roll into the fund balance amount. As far as for the SAU, we didn't have any management recommendations. I said with all the school districts, typically what we see in the management recommendations is untimely deposits for student activity funds, and the FAU doesn't have any. I'd like to express our gratitude towards the SAU finance staff. Let's see if I get it right. Amy, Katie, Lisa, Kim, Lindsay,
Karen.
Karen.
You did well.
Yeah.
You just, you did well. I feel good,
The
I
amount
feel
of
good
people
about
that
it.
I see.
Right.
But I do know, like, they're always very pleasant to work with. They're very accommodating to any sort of requests that we have. And I can tell you that having somebody like Lisa on staff who's a CPA, it makes both the finance office job and our job as auditor, it does make it a little easier to come in, because we have a level of comfort that there's a CPA on staff and they know what they're doing. She basically kind of prepares what we would normally refer to as a book audit. She gives us the trial balance, and then she gives us the backup to support everything that's on the trial balance. And can't say enough great things when we come in and we have everything in advance. And I think, I believe I said it in the other one, so we were scheduled to do the audit on Monday, and it was either Thursday before or Friday before, everything was uploaded to our secure portal. So we didn't really have a whole lot of back and forth trying to get information, so most of the stuff was done before we even came on site to do specific things that are just much easier to do in person. Anybody have any questions at all in regards to the financial statements?
I just want to say thank you for, this is the multiple times you've come to this place and reported, so we certainly appreciate it. And I also appreciate the window into the work that the business office does. I mean, we all, see it in a variety of kind of truncated ways, but it's nice to have your perspective, and so thank you for that.
I just want to also thank Matthew for coming, and I know he mentioned all their names, but this is my last opportunity to praise my awesome staff who does such a great job. As he said, Lisa Shadroy, our CPA, who has transitioned to really being the point person for the audits. Katie Hannon, who still is a invaluable component of making sure that the work is done appropriately all year so that we can have these clean audits. As well as our bookkeeper, Lindsay Santana, who is learning and has really risen to the occasion and done a great job. Kim Fredette, who in payroll, who manages multiple CBAs and different payment types and stipends and all sorts of complexities within her job in New Hampshire retirement, and is really a one-woman show in payroll. And then Karen Sainsbury, who is super efficient with our accounts payable and has really done a great job stepping into that new role. So I just want to shout out to the business office.
Okay,
And
thank
our
you.
treasurers
Oh.
too. Sorry, I always forget to thank our treasurers. They do a great job.
Thank you.
I am.
Great to meet you and enjoy retirement. See you in Johnson sometime.
You bet, 100%. We'll get a large together.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa.
We'll move now to our consent agenda. We have 3 items: draft minutes from December 19th, draft minutes from January 30th, and 2 policies. Is there any need to pull anything from the consent agenda? Can I get a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
And seconded by Ms. Grunt. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? We're good. All good. All right, we have some reports received. Any question, comments, concern on those?
Just a question, the enrollment data, why is it presented this month by month as separate documents? Could we just see it as a rolling documents, which were a lot easier to see changes over time that way? Yeah,
We can, yeah, I'll write it down.
You got it.
thanks.
I'll take that.
Okay, and moving on, we have some policies. approved by the policy committee. Jess is not able to make it tonight. She could have to work. Is there someone else in the policy committee that would like to give us a little bit about these?
I was not at that 212 meeting. I was home with the flu, so I will defer to another policy
The
committee.
Title IX policies, I could just speak to that. I was at the meeting. We just approved those last month. Updated ones. These are again because of a significant policy change. So in effect, these are the previous policies. And as the Title IX issues get sorted out at the federal level and at the state level, we may see some further changes coming forward. So we're trying to be as current and as consistent with what the NHSBA attorney staff are doing to help us with our policy programmatics. And this is why these are here and why there's a request to waive a second reading. So we have the most updated lawful policies on our books as reasonably quickly as we can.
And that is covered in the superintendent report. If you read through there about the Title IX policies, following NHSBA's recommendation to approve these and then go back and revise over the next 30 to 60 days, but it's doing this on that emergency basis. So the other policies are just ones that we read through last month or earlier this month and recommending for a first read to be able to send down to the board. So. And I
So-
imagine we'll see some changing and shifting over the next couple of months. So this may be a common occurrence with whoever's on the next policy committee with revisions and changes that need to happen and, emergency things to make sure we're compliant and then having a chance to go back and revise those policies further.
So regarding just the Title IX policies, I'd love to get a motion to adopt them as presented and waive the second reading and then move any necessary policies to their individual boards.
I like that one.
Okay, second by Mr. O'Keefe. Any discussion?
To waive the second readings, but the action will be to adopt it at the SAU level. Then at the next board. Presented.
Move it to the boards. Mhm. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? Mr. Fritz is abstaining.
Can I add just a couple quick bits on that? So since the changes, we had a training at the end of January with legal around Title IX. So we were up to date with some of the changes that occurred and how school districts need to be reacting to those changes. We spent quite a bit of time on Title IX in October, as you remember, and then we were fortunate enough with Dr. Heather Jennings to organize a Title IX training after the inauguration and the changes to Title IX. So I feel like we are on top of how to manage those. The second piece, and I just want to, acknowledge that I appreciate the work of our executive assistant, Chelsea Borden, as she organizes this. And if you have any ideas and thoughts as remaining board members on how you want to receive policy information, but the form that we're using, we think is most user-friendly for us to give that information to the board. And I appreciate the policy committee members being able to use that document to facilitate the conversation here. So thank you.
All right, on to the, we need one more motion for the rest of the policies listed under other policies to be presented as a first reading and moved to the individual boards.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. O'Keefe, seconded by Mr. Gauthier. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? All right, we'll move on to board chair updates, and I would love to start with Mr. Eckhoff.
Thank you. I'll be brief. First and foremost, want to thank Jess Hinckley. She couldn't be here as mentioned. She didn't work tonight. As most of you probably know, she's not going to run again on the board, but she's given many years of dedicated service, and not just on the school board. She's been involved PTA, organized events. Obviously, if kids go through the school, she just really plugged into the community and the school. And I think she's done a fantastic job. She's been a great asset to the board. She'll be missed. And she jokingly stated when we were at the deliberative that already she's signed up to be the co-director of recreation from Mount Vernon. So she's going to continue her volunteering ways. So big shout out to Jess for all the years that she's been on our board. We did have a deliberative session on Wednesday, February 5th. Everything passed as presented, which we are happy with. The meeting itself was interesting to say the least, but we survived and we lived another day.
Yes, we did.
We got through.
Uh,
We are going to have a listening, answering, question and answer Q&A, how you want to describe it. We actually have two back to back. Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30 on March 5th at the library, and that will be spearheaded by Mr. Barry. And then on Saturday, the 8th, from 10:30 until 12 noon, spearheaded by Mr. O'Keefe, will do the same thing for the public to attend and ask questions. And that is at the fire station, and that also the library.
That's at the library.
So back to back with the library. So Wednesday and Saturday, two opportunities for our community members. I will say that we had a fairly positive and larger crowd at our deliberative than we've had in the past. And again, it went smoothly in terms of voting and everything going through. So we hope we have a positive outcome on the 13th. I will note that Mount Vernon School participated in a TANG, a math tournament, which is a global event. There were 500 classrooms that participated, and Mount Vernon was the champion.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the students. Obviously, they solved over numbers here. Over 22,866 puzzles, K through 5. Led by Charlene Brown, our math specialist, and the entire staff and the kids. So pretty proud of that. They had a celebration in our multi-purpose room and celebrated their championship. So that was kind of great. And our math scores are reflective of how we're going up there on the hill. Coffee with our principal, Tom Lechleiter, is tomorrow morning at 8. Those seem to be popular. I have not attended personally, but I hear good things. And I think those are the highlights from up on the hill, and obviously vacation next week. Thank you.
I would like to move on to Mr. Gothier for
Thank you.
Amherst.
Yes, let me get out my notes. So obviously, a lot of what we've done lately has been on budget and on deliberative session. Everything passed through into the warrant from deliberative. We are now working on the final distribution of information for the Article 12, or for all the articles, but primarily Article 12. We did have 3 information sessions since the last time this board met, which focused on some different topics that we haven't really talked about on a daily basis with the overall Clark Wilkins project. So those were pretty well received, well attended, and have been getting pretty good reviews and views on social media. Tonight, we accepted in a meeting before this one, we accepted the nomination of a new assistant principal. That will be Peter Chipperoni, coming to us from the Cross School down in Massachusetts. He'll be joining the district starting July 1st on a 2-year contract, and he will take the place of Anna Perrell, who's going off to a well-deserved retirement. And then we also tonight accepted the resignation with the regrets of Kelly Doobie, a school psychologist over at AMS. We do have 2 positions up for election on March 11th, including Jason running for his 2nd term. A new moderator is also on the ballot to fill what is the remainder of a 1-year term after Ellen resigned, and then Mark Vincent filled in for this year's deliberative. So that'll be a 1-year term that is up on voting day as well. Obviously keeping an eye on the rapidly changing environment coming out of Washington and the State House, including work being done on potential bans of cell phones in schools. And so the board will obviously, as the new board takes effect in April, will continue to work with Mike and the administration on latest regulations and guidance that come out. On a I don't know what it's called. Leadership symposium was held with the Principals Council between the town and school elected officials over at Clark Wilkins with the 4th graders. Invention convention was held this week, and then that was actually held last night. And then 2 basketball teams did very well this year at the middle school. The girls' white basketball team took 2nd in the Tri-County Division 6, and the boys' team ended up taking home 1st place, and they are champions of Tri-County Division 6 as well. They beat Milford 36-35 in the final. So congratulations to both of those teams.
And Tom is not going to toot his own horn,
Correct.
but I did notice that in those, when he was, I'm trying to avoid it, but you can't. when he was mentioning those positions on our board, Mr. Gothier has served the Amherst School Board for 2 terms, which is 6 years, and I believe of the 6 years, 4 you've been chair, is that right? Tom?
Correct.
Yeah, so on behalf of the Amherst School Board, we just wanted to present you with just a little token of appreciation. You don't have to open it now, you can take it home, but this is from all of us on board.
Well, thank you very much. I
Thank you for
appreciate
your
it.
service and, you know, your leadership has been fantastic. I will never forget the first time I met you at a facilities meeting. You sat down, you said, my name's Tom Gothier and I'm here to make sure we don't spend money unnecessarily on a school building we don't need. And I will say that my experience working with you ever since has been one where you have been very, fiscally responsible and held to that. And I've gotten to know you and I think we all respect you and appreciate your time here on the board. So thank you for your service, Tom.
Well, thank you. I thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with everybody and I know I brought some cranky at times, so I appreciate your patience with me and a little blunt at times, but it has been a pleasure to serve and now excited to hand it off to somebody else and be able to go on and do different things, but certainly staying in town because my family won't move to Florida yet, so. But thank you. I appreciate it and very humble to have been able to serve twice and I look forward to still being around and staying in touch with everybody. So thank you.
Ms. Grant?
So to begin, we had our public hearing and deliberative session. They went smoothly. We had our audit presentation as well. I do want to recognize that Kelly Braley, the athletic director, did receive a letter from the NHIA recognizing her and thanking her for her extra work. She has done some work outside of our school district to help other schools to make sure they were continuing to be able to play when they lost access to their field. They wanted to say, just want to let everyone know that Kelly was recognized in the state. We had a big discussion on our graduation requirements and some of them include increasing the credits to 24, includes a half credit writing course for all 9th graders. This is going to take kids from where they are and grow them. It's not just a new video course, it's for every student to grow. We have we codified the personal finance course and economics course. We align the computer literacy and information technology language with the New Hampshire ed requirements. There's some look at Division 1, the JLP, it will continue as a graduation requirement as part of world studies. Post-graduation plan and senior project are still in, of course, and community service hours are going to stay at 40 hours. And that's just some, there's a lot of other stuff. You have to go watch the meeting and a lengthy discussion. But I appreciate everyone's work on that. We did have a formation of a girls cooperative hockey team with Nashua that just recently happened. We're working on a new boys cooperative team that is in the works at this point. We have Bank Fest this week. If you noticed all the kids decorating in the hallway, some of them are dressed up. This is their week of celebration. Tomorrow is the completion where they have an assembly where there's class dances and a whole bunch of celebration. And it's a really good time. It gives the kids a chance to kind of blow off some steam and enjoy the school culture. And we also want to congratulate our swim team, which is the Division II state champions. So they've done well. And finally, I want to recognize 2 of our board members who have chosen to not run again and are going to be leaving us. Dan and Anna have been very active in multiple groups. And policy is a big one, and both of you have done a lot of work on that, so we really appreciate that. But the other work is working with the board of selectmen and other things, and always challenging our thoughts and making us think deeper and work harder. We really do appreciate that. So we do have a small gift.
You have to stand, have places on Where are you from?
And I was told that Tom was not a flower man.
No, I just said he didn't seem like a flower guy.
Being unwilling to leave him out.
My life.
I have 3 girls now, so. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Very glad I did this. I've really gotten a chance, enjoyed working with everyone here. And wish everyone in the schools and the board the best going forward.
Thank you all so much. It's been a great 3 years. I'll continue and have a productive next 3 years.
All right, we'll move on to committee updates. Ms. Hinckley's not here. I don't believe we have anything to report with the Brick School. So wellness has
No,
anything?
nothing.
Nothing to report, and RSEC.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carrie, anyone?
Our second, we approved the budget, for the coming year. All of the programs are doing really well. They have approved giving an increased discount to member districts, and we're also working on getting priority placement for teachers' children at Sunrise if they need it. And so there's some positive things going on, and all the programs are going straight. We're going great. They're trying to expand in Longview. They have a middle school program that they debuted this year, and they're trying to kind of grow that. And they're just looking at ways to get the word out about all the good work that they're doing.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent for his report and the framework update in one.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we'll start with the framework. You see some attachments. You have a variety of forms that I'll speak to in a second. However, I want to thank the efforts of many groups, from teachers to building administrators, SAU administrators, board members, parents, different stakeholder groups that we met with to review this, individuals that I sought out that I thought could contribute with through their lens. The goal of this was to evolve the framework for progress to something a little more substantial, a framework for success, and trying to encompass some of the things that we were looking for. And if you take a look at like the pillars, it's based off of student learning, care for the whole child, and support for administration, faculty, and staff. And I will tell you, the work that we are narrowing our energies into are under these 3 pillars. We know we're constantly working on partnerships, but I thought we have a lot of growth over the last couple of years, and we've expanded based on feedback about stewardship of resources and how are we functioning, within our business, our facilities, and our IT department. We want to document that. And we are going to be using this as the foundation for all that we do here in SAU 39. And this is what's going to kind of guide the 3 districts and the 4 schools, and to make sure that they are aligning themselves to this. And so the experience for students, whether it's pre-K at Clark or kindergarten at Mount Vernon through grade 8 at Amherst, grade 4 at Wilkins, up into the high school, they're going to be an emphasis on this. And individual boards have seen the goals and the priorities of each building aligned to it. I think the beauty of this is in its simplicity and directness. I think it's really clear to our staff and our administrators where we're going and why. I have a great appreciation for the senior leadership team who put a lot of eyes on this to make sure that this was consumable, implementable, right, at the building levels, particularly with the board members that provided feedback. Went at length in this to synthesize information from the board to all the other stakeholders to get it into something. And we are going to, after tonight, start to roll this out. But I want to be really clear. We're implementing this as of July 1, 2025. We have the framework for progress kind of through June 30th. This is a buildup of this. And then over the summer, the principals will take a look at where they're at and align their goals to this. So we're still in that range. We're only about 18 months in from the original, not even like a year of the original. This is an evolution. I wanted this board to see it because you've been such a big part of developing it and working with the individual schools as individual boards to make it come to life. I'm really proud of the efforts. As you see with our communications quarter, we're going to have a 1-pager that's going to be very consumable. We have a little booklet that we're going to put on our website that people can navigate. There's a presentation that we can kind of take on the road. I almost should have put draft on that. It's not dynamic enough, but it's where it's at as of today. And then we have the document itself that's going to be linked to our websites and part of what we do. And so I just really appreciate the work. I wanted to provide an update on where we're at with it. And then off of that, we have another group that's been meeting, with myself, Leaf, Greg, Anna and Christy about kind of looking at the vision statement and seeing if the vision statement connects well. And that's going to be something that we kind of look at in the summer as an SAU board and individual board. So more to come on the vision of this, but the document's there. Principals are very happy with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. But this will provide some continuity for us to put our heads down and work and make sure that students are achieving it at the highest level we can, and making sure that they are cared for and valued. And ultimately, we want people to have a good educational experience, and this helps. So I appreciate the work of everybody who was part of it, and felt that on this meeting, we needed to make sure that we brought it here so everyone could see it. So thank you. And if there's any questions or thoughts, I can take them, but it was just more so for an update on the framework. Yeah.
Question, like, both looks really good. Is this supposed to be an annual thing? Like, I think the outcomes will be realized at the end of next fiscal year? How do you view that?
I can see, pretty much annual updates on where we're going. The retreats are a good time for that to see, where we are. You might see, as we've done, reports out in the principal reports as they do their work. You can see how they're actionizing in the buildings. But I think a review of this will be done annually at retreats, and we might be done with something, and we might still be working on something, but you'll see that.
Based on that, I think some of these might, need a little bit of revision. I think it's 80% this next year, but we're working towards that still. I think
We're always going to be working towards the 80.
This year, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you want comments directly to you, or should I run them to my chair? How do you want?
You can run them to the chair and me.
Okay.
Yeah, so. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'll work.
Under section 4 partnerships, can you just tell me or share with us just your insight in terms of the last sentence there, by June 30th, 2027, determine whether or not a more comprehensive strategic plan is needed? Tell me what you think that looks like and.
Yeah, so, we've talked a little bit about the strategic plan history here. SAU 39, the different variations, and had a couple different times where those were, really heavy work, but as we know, we didn't get as much kind of like actionization out of those as we wanted. And so for me, what I wanted to do is put something that reflects where we currently are and where I know people want to go into the framework. And then as we put our heads down, if you count this year and then the next 2 years, that's 3 years of working on these areas, then determine, are we where we want to be right now? Are we a reflection of the values of Mount Vernon and Amherst? And are we achieving at this? And if we are, can we move it, increase the standards? Or if we want to look at our goals differently, or if, we talked a little bit about at some point of maybe bringing in a third-party vendor to run us through a strategic plan. So I just want to work for a while, report out on it for a little bit, because I think this is a strong document. And then by that date, decides what the next phase of that's going to look like. Is it a continuation of this? Is it an adjustment of some of the goals? Or do we need to bring in a third-party person to lead us through a more comprehensive strategic plan that's been done in the past? And that's kind of what I meant by that.
Jason?
Yeah, so first off, Mike, thank you so much for putting this together. I think it's great for us. I know a lot of people had input in it. I just have one question, and you can tell me if it's not appropriate at this time, but I was looking at the outcomes for Article 1.
Yep.
I really appreciate that you included another assessment for literacy besides just the state standardized test. I was just wondering if moving forward, if there are other things we could do for math and science, or, instead of just having the one outcome be the standardized test, if there's a way to consider. I don't know, crafting reporting assessments.
Yeah, no, it's a deeper conversation, but I can give you kind of why we put an emphasis on that.
Yeah.
I struggled with, and I know the person to my right struggled with, not directly emphasizing literacy, as we think that's the skill that is the foundation for all the other skills. And that we think reading and writing at a high level at, grades 2, 3, and 4 are so especially very important. And so you're going to see some work around, the assessments that we use, with Director of Curriculum and Director of Student Service about the assessments we're going to be using to internally to determine where kids are at and how we work with teachers and get that data in their hands. But we are going to have other data sets for math and science and other subjects, but we are really still putting an emphasis on literacy. And I think that's why you see it worded that way. But we'll continue to actionize that at the building level. And as we make some transitions to our data warehouse and our our assessments, we will update the board accordingly. So.
Mike, you referenced, in the student care section, you want to get chronically absent students down to 5%. What number are we at now?
Yeah, I don't like it. It depends on where we are, but I would say about 10 to 15% depending on the school. 10% to 15% chronic absent. That means, essentially out of school for more than 10 days a year. And we have some who are far more absent than that. And a lot of factors after COVID, the return to school was slow, right? I will tell you this, and people have heard me lament about transportation. I have a couple strategies and letters and communications and that I want to use with families to, foster attending school. However, with the transportation situation, I'll in good faith send a letter to Tom Gothier and say, hey, I would like your kid to come to school more often. And the response will be, I would like you to have the buses to run on time so my kids can get to school. And so we do know that, right? But we have some other barriers that we need to overcome in 39 that we want kids to come to school, to get kids to school. So the chronic absenteeism is legit. It's not limited to our community. There's a number of reasons. You will see us continuing to dive into that work, but it is absolutely a thing, Mr. Eckhoff.
What is there a state average?
Yeah, so the state average we're right in the state average. I think we had it up there I had it up there on a draft one time. I want to say it was like 17%. So we're a little below, but I think the state average was like 17. Don't hold me to that. But we're there. So. Any other questions on the framework?
I have one. On a couple of the outcomes, you talk about survey, reacting to survey results.
Yep.
Are those surveys to be made in the future, or do you have surveys already completed?
No, we haven't done any surveys since the last survey that we did. If you guys will remember, was the transportation information that we gathered last spring. Since then, we have not, as a SAU or any of the 3 districts, put out surveys. However, we are set with Katie Gary and our relationship with Qualtrics and some investigation of other third-party surveys that we can attain and work with for these topics to begin to work on that. And so it's in the queue, and they're not yet made, but will be. Okay, I'll get into my superintendent's report if people are okay with it. All right, so if you looked at the superintendent's report, I'll take questions in a second, but I just want to speak to the overall piece of it. You're going to see our professional development day, it's a build up off of what happened prior to school, where we're coming together as an SAU, not individual schools and not 3 districts for the topics, because we're looking for those through lines as we try to move forward as an entire SAU. Mr. Chamberlain, Liz Cannon, Heather Jennings, the principals of PD committee are working on to make sure that day is a really meaningful day. We talked about the budget process, and obviously we give a lot of credit to all the people involved with that, and now we're just awaiting what happens on March 11th. So appreciate all the work around there. Beacon Mobility, we had a meeting last week with Beacon Mobility. We've asked for some things to happen. We've asked for the routes to be taken a look at to see if they're most efficient for this year. We hope that we, get some improvement on that. They know our expectations and standards. And we are following up with them in, I can't remember what we said. Mid-March. So we hope for movement there. We're going to continue to monitor them. Another update on transportation is There's 3 districts around us, Wilton, Milford, and Hollis. Are all in the Wilton and Milton are in the year 3 of 3 next year. We are in year 5 of 5. So there's been conversations on how to improve transportation in the 3 districts, collectively together. And, we'll continue to work on that. You saw this Title IX stuff. And then we got into some of the things that I just wanted to put in there that we are monitoring. We are moving forward in and, around some of the executive orders, Title IX, legislative. I talk pretty regularly whenever I catch Dan and Stephanie about some of the things that are happening. We're monitoring those things where the number of communications I get on these topics is almost overwhelming, but there's a lot of different resources out there. So I'll keep the board, abreast of how things are going. I feel comfortable in where we're at with what we're doing. But I'll take any questions about the superintendent's report from anybody. All right. Yeah.
I just want to say, thank you for staying on top of all this stuff because, education's changing quickly right now for multiple reasons from the view and 3 of 6 changes from federal guideline things that are all happening. So I just appreciate them topic is trying to do that and run 3 school districts is a lot. So I just appreciate you acknowledging that all this is going on and I appreciate the hard work.
Yeah, no, I thank you. And I think you guys deserve to know as boards that where we're at with it and where SAU 39 is at in some of these things. So I appreciate, policy committee being nimble as we adjusted some things, and the policy committee was pretty productive in their window of their season, I guess, for the best term. And then, for me, and I say this, I'm not a politician as a superintendent. I'm an educator and my job is to, run an SAU in collaboration with all the people at this table and in different other groups. And we're going to do work with whatever is out there to make sure our kids get the best educational experience that we can do in SAU 39. And we will just be nimble enough to move around as things change. So appreciate that.
So we have come to the end of the agenda that we are going to do in this meeting tonight. Is there a need, anyone in the public who would like to comment? Anyone online?
No hands raised.
Friends at home? No?
Point of order, I thought we were talking generally about what the process was
Oh.
for doing the superintendent review before we went into the non-public.
So I was not aware that we were talking generally about that. I see it on the agenda and I had
on the
no
agenda.
idea why it was on the agenda.
Okay.
To be honest, superintendent
Yeah.
evaluation is not something we usually do a lot of but I can tell you the process is that we followed the policy. I will look at it and tell you what it is. Unless someone wants to shout it out. I was not prepared to yell that out. It's a CBR.
From the way you sent it to us.
My bad.
No.
CBI.
Okay, policy CBI, if you would like to look at it in the policy manual for the district. There are 4 categories that we as a board evaluate the superintendent in as a educational leader. And then scroll through here as an operational manager, and then communication with the board and communication with the community. And so each of us had the opportunity to weight that numerically and add comments, and all of those have been compiled, and we will meet soon in a non-public to discuss that and put our seal of approval on a team document to send forward. So that is the evaluation procedure. Any general questions about that? Hopefully you're all aware of it. So you were absolutely
Curious, the policy CBI and then the associated form that we all are filling out is CBI-R. So you can find it on the SAU 39 website.
Thank you, Vice Chairman.
You're welcome.
But with that, because this is a personnel document, we will need a motion to enter non-public under RSA 91A 3 Roman numeral 2A. Wait,
Public.
I did.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if there was gonna be.
No, there was no.
Okay.
That's what C and one dash A.
I might,
Matters which is discussed in public would likely adversely affect reputation of any.
what's
Yes.
A?
It's
Oh,
C.
A is distinguished promotion compensation. What we were discussing.
It can
We
be
need
A and C.
tonight,
And
we need A,
and
yeah,
C,
we
definitely C.
but we definitely need A as well.
A and C, compensation and reputation.
We're paying them again next year?
Motion to go under.
Yeah.
Yeah,
C, like, C
is like, you know, like.
Just don't know.
We've got a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Tom Gossier made the motion, Stephanie Grun seconds. All in favor? Do we have to do roll call for all here? No, okay. Okay, roll call, Mr. White,
What, yes? Yes.
Got your yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Glover, yes.
Meeting, my friend.
Yes.
I'm leaving the meeting.